This is Out Loud and Laughing.
What is up, chosen fam? Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. We are coming at you with some serious, big queer energy today. Serious energy. And honestly, a little bit of pressure because today's guest literally makes a living judging what is news and what is not in the gay world. If we mess up, we might end up in a Queerty blind item tomorrow morning. Chosen fam, please welcome the man who keeps our tabs open and our group chats buzzing, the editor-in-chief of Queerty, Graham Gremore.
What's
Hi.
up?
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so honored that you're here. You've been with Queerty for quite a while. We definitely want to hear about all of those things. We've got a bunch of questions to ask you today. We're just happy you're here.
Yeah, this is exciting.
You stepped into, so you started Queerty, I believe, in 2012, but it was like a decade later that you would step into this editor-in-chief role. You know, we've read that your goal was to create a space that acknowledges our community's challenges while reminding us of the joy of being of the LGBTQIA rainbow. As the guy who hits publish, we have to know, how do you decide on any given day whether the community needs a call to arms or a celebration of queer joy article?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good question. So much of, I think, what I do and what my team does, it's just about kind of reading the room and like taking a temperature take. What are people feeling right now? What are they talking about? What's trending? What's going to be trending tomorrow that we could talk about today? And so I think that's what I love actually most about my job is that it is very creative. It's very intuitive. It's really like just staying laser focused on the community, on what's happening, and trying to give the people what they want. And I think we do a good job at it. I think that everybody on the Queerty team in the newsroom they're all great at their specific beats and kind of tapping into the thing within that beat that is getting people excited or revved up or talking.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that because I feel like today more than ever, our community there's so much to celebrate, but there's also so much to just be mindful of. We're being attacked like by the day.
Yes.
So like that is kind of heavy, right, Graham? So like
Mhm.
how do you keep this fun for you? Because it's a lot.
Yeah. And I'll add too that I'm actually based in Minneapolis, which is like the epicenter of a lot of chaos at the moment. It has been, I mean, really since the beginning of this year, but also actually a little bit before that at the tail end of last year. Things were really heating up in Minneapolis and it's been stressful. And what's happening here is definitely, there's nobody at this point who's not affected. Like it's everywhere, and not just in our city, but in the news and the world. I mean, everybody's looking at us, and so that is a lot. But in some ways, it's like having this work and kind of always being reminded every day to look for the joy and look for the funny stuff and the weird stuff, and don't lose sight of that has actually, I think, helped get me through what has been a pretty stressful year so far. Because there is, and I've always said this, there is a lot of good stuff happening and people need a break sometimes, including the editor-in-chief at Queerty and the writers at Queerty. We all kind of need that break. And I always tell people too, like, we don't deny what's happening. We don't deny the really serious situation that we're in and what's going on in the world and the threats we're facing. I mean, it's very serious. And so it's not about shutting that out and forgetting about that because we do cover some of it, but it's about not letting that just like consume everything about you and just like completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of completely crush you because that's kind of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and Queerty is not the place where that's going to happen. That's for sure. I could only imagine when you were lining up your programming for 2026 that this was probably not on your bingo cards.
You
So I'm
think?
wondering, yeah, right. Well, it wasn't on any of ours. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. But I just mean like being sort of in the epicenter and having such a responsibility to get these stories out. And I don't want to harp too much here, but I'm sort of curious. Has there been a story that hasn't been like a mega headline, something that like sort of like glorifies the work being done on the ground by people who are anti-ICE and, you know?
Right. That's an interesting question too, because one thing that I was telling a lot of people last month in January is like, usually the media likes to like jump on stories and sensationalize things and make everything seem big and dramatic and high stakes. And I get it. I work in media, so I know that. Um, but in this case, it was so weird. It felt like they weren't. It felt like they were almost not actually capturing how serious it was and how people were feeling on the ground and how bad it was. I think I would say in the last week or so, it has gotten a little bit better. It seems like people are waking up and they realize and they're paying more attention, and that feels good to know that people get it or are starting to get it. But I remember last month there was actually one story in particular. It happened here locally. There's a queer journalist who was a beloved local journalist from Care 11 who was on the ground reporting on the situation after Alex Preddy was shot. And she was actually tear gassed by agents, or not tear gassed, pepper sprayed by agents and pushed. And she was following all protocol. She was doing everything that a journalist on the ground is supposed to do and entitled to do. And they still kind of manhandled her. And I think she lost her glasses. I mean, it was not good. And I saw that locally, and I realized nobody was talking about this on a national platform yet. And so it was a Sunday, and I just like, I'm going to write this story and put it up on Queerty and blast this out to as many people as I can. And so I like to think that I did my small part in helping to get the word out. And like I said before, not the happiest story, but sometimes we do have to report on the serious stuff, especially when it's like literally in our backyards.
I mean, it's literally in your backyard, right? You're like
Yeah,
in
literally.
this city, which is just, I mean, you're the first person that John and I have talked to who's actually in Minneapolis. So
Mm.
Yeah.
it's, apologies for all these questions because I think it's so
No,
important to bring light to this, right? Like, something that I'm interested in is obviously we're seeing a lot of stuff on the news and we're learning a lot about this, but John and I are seeing it from kind of like, the editorial view, which in some cases is not the 100% truth. What are you seeing on the ground with like leaders, like at the local region, like at the federal level, like in their responsibility to this? How are they handling it? How are you seeing that?
yeah, there's been a lot of, I think, mixed feelings in Minneapolis about that. Some people have been critical of local leadership, and some people have been more grateful and more understanding of what they're doing. I personally fall into that second camp. I think that there's not a lot. I mean, they're not in control of
Right.
this situation. They're
Correct.
fighting against the government, the U.S. government, which is a huge army of money and powerful people and laws. And so I think that given what they're up against, I've actually been really impressed with how local leadership has handled this. The mayor of Minneapolis, and then also the governor. But also, I mean, our lawmakers. I know Amy Klobuchar has been really, our senator, she's been very outspoken. Ilhan Omar also has been very outspoken. So I think, I mean, sure, we'd love for this to end immediately and for our leaders to put a stop to it. But I really feel like they're they're doing the best they can with what they have. And my instinct is to, rather than criticize that right now, support it. And like, maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's not exactly how I would like to do it, but they're doing it. And I think it's important to just rally around that rather than criticize. Hopefully I feel like I just opened myself up to like a bunch of
No, I
online
think you're right though.
criticism.
I think where I'm getting at too is a little bit around like I think just leadership overall. And I do think bringing it back to you and your career, something that John and I did notice under your leadership of Queerty, you've been really intentional. You've been intentional about amplifying voices under every letter in our kind of, LGBTQI, even plus. Like, was there a specific moment or a piece of feedback that you received that made you realize that you kind of needed to evolve beyond the gay blog kind of roots? Because I do think that your leadership has actually been super impactful.
Thank you. I'm glad you noticed, and that makes me feel really good. Um, it's been like this ongoing sort of conversation, I think, at the whole organization, Q Digital, which owns Queerty and a few other sites. And I was kind of very early because as we mentioned, I started 2012. And I remember it was in like 2016. It was like that election year when everything was really, that felt bad, but compared to today, that feels like a walk in the park. But that's when I really started speaking out to, like, at that time, my editor, editorial director, and other people at the company, and being like, I really think that we should be amplifying the voices of more than just gay men, basically, essentially, which is what Queerty, it was kind of founded on that. It was founded by cis white gay men, and that's fine. It was a great site. But over time, it's had to evolve. And I remember back in 2016, I was like, I think it's time to really actually be intentional here. And it's been a slower process, I think, than I or anybody would like. A lot of it has to do with the fact that we're just a small company. My team is there's 4 full-time people on my team, which is the biggest it's ever been. It used to be me and one other person. So I think we're a small but mighty kind of group, but because we're small, everything takes a little longer. And so I remember starting that fight well, I shouldn't call it a fight, but that initiative, like 2016, and just kind of pushing it further and further, and kind of, I think, making people feel uncomfortable. I was maybe a little militant about, we need to get better at this. We need to do this. But eventually, as the company grew and as more people even got to know who we were, it sort of fell into place. And I had writers reaching out to me who wanted to be involved, and talent, celebrities, and queer activists who maybe weren't familiar with us before, but now, because we had been actually intentionally trying to work with other people and other letters of the LGBTQ plus acronym, it was like, I mean, and I knew that's what would happen. It's like, the more, when you bring people in, it's like, if you build it, they will come. When you bring them in, more people will come with them. And I feel like there's still work to do. There's still a lot of work to do. There always will be a lot of work to do. But I am really happy that with the work we've done, and I'm happy that you noticed. And that's also just, I've met so many cool people doing this job and doing this work. And that's probably my favorite part, is just all of these interesting, awesome people from different walks of life who maybe I wouldn't necessarily run into in my day to day, but because of the work I do, I get to, and that's really fun for me.
Now, you came from a mainstream media background, so before you started with Queerty, um, what is one rule of traditional journalism that you've had to sort of completely throw out the window, right? Because it doesn't work when you're talking to or for the queer community. Is there something there?
I mean, I feel like there's so much there, because so much of what we do, I think digital media in particular, it's like it's always evolving. It's always changing. The way we tell stories and the way people consume information and how they want to consume information. It's just, in the years that I've been at Queerty, it's changed a dozen times. And so I think it's almost like you can't follow the sort of traditional rules, or the s- the standards that everybody sort of knows, because uh, you just can't. Audiences move quick. They want things to change, and they want different stories and new ways of consuming stories. And I actually feel like, now I feel like I'm just like on a riff, but I think like queer people might actually be like uniquely poised to do that really well, because we're so used to living outside of the box that it's less of a challenge for us to then kind of break the rules, or bend the norms, or do something differently than it might be expected, because that's like our whole existence. So it kind of came naturally for me. But yeah.
Do you find the way that you have to deliver some of these news articles to our community is slightly different, right? Do we consume media, do you think, differently? Are we a little more hesitant? Do we automatically assume that what's being written isn't true first? Like, what? I just want to, like, because I'm just trying to speak from personal, right? Like, when I hear the news now, regardless of like if it's a liberal channel or not, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just questioning, and I'm wondering if that's just unique to our community because we've been burned so much, or is this just the way the world is now?
Good question. Because I'm like, is it unique to our community, or is it just unique to smart people? And we
Mm,
are just smarter than
yeah.
average. Like, we're sort of trained to question everything. Like when you're sort of born an outcast into society, it makes you kind of have to always question the things around you. Um,
And
so
people.
I don't know if I mean, there could be something there to what you just said. Like people are more skeptical and do ask more questions. I think also, and this is a compliment, this is what actually I love about being gay and about being surrounded by gay people or queer people, is like we are just a little bit more cynical, a little bit more real. Like we don't deal with bullshit so well. And actually that's kind of Queerty's approach to stuff too, is like there's no bullshit. Like we'll just like say it, talk about it. Sometimes it gets us in trouble. But that's just kind of like the queer MO, I think.
It's almost like all the bullshit lives back where the closet stops and where we came out. This has been like the lie is over. This is the big bad ugly truth, or
Yeah.
big bad beautiful truth for that matter.
Yeah. It's like we're exhausted by all that. We're exhausted. We just gotta keep it real.
I mean, I'm definitely exhausted from all of this. What is some of the fun that you have at Queerty? Like what are some of the things you actually enjoy talking about and like, writing about?
I mean, a lot of it, most of it. Um, like I said before, I have a really awesome team. I really love the people I work with. Like we are the strongest, coolest, best team you could ever ask for. And so I don't do as much writing these days, but I do get to work really closely with all of these great writers. And so that to me is really fun and really rewarding. That's kind of behind the scenes though. I think the things that I really love and that bring me a lot of excitement and joy on the site are, oh gosh, there's so much, but there's a lot of cultural commentary that goes on the site. You've probably noticed, whether it's we have the Queerty Query, where we ask our readers a question and then they'll supply the responses, and then we publish it as an article for people to kind of see what the conversation is. The one that we're running this weekend, which will probably be published by the time the podcast comes out, is your favorite place to wear a jockstrap. And so we ask the question, and then people give us their answers, and it creates all kinds of conversation, and those are always really fun. I also love, this is one that I get to do, and this is really actually rewarding for me. I do book, I arrange book excerpts on the site. So I'll work with queer authors who are trying to promote their work and actually give them a platform to like put an excerpt from their book on the site with links on where to buy and links to their socials. And our readers have actually said in surveys that they want more of that stuff. They love learning about books and authors. And so I feel like it's a win-win because the readers want it, the authors want the publicity and want the audience. And so for me, that's like brings me a lot of joy to be able to do that. Um, and then I think that like the other thing that's fun is just kind of the attitude. Like, we're a little sassy, we're a little gossipy. We tell the truth. It's not lies, but it's gossipy and it's fun. And I just love the tone. I love it in our political stories, the way the writers on my team will cover politics, as well as the entertainment stuff that like Cameron Sheets, our entertainment editor, does. He does these great roundups. He was just at Sundance a week ago and had all of this great stuff to say about being at Sundance. And so I feel like the fun is kind of everywhere, like very creative, very positive, and great people.
What are you looking forward to the most this year with Queerty 2026? What do you have on the books? What's planned? I know you guys do your annual award show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's big for us this year?
Well, lots of exciting things happening. I would say the thing that's coming up is obviously the Queerties. That's our annual awards show. It's the 14th year that we've been doing it, which is crazy.
Wow.
Because I remember the very first one, which is just wild. And have to see that become what it has become over 14 years is really insane to me. But right now it's the voting. So we put up the nominees and people get to vote for their favorites. And that goes through, I think, like February 17th. And then voting closes. And then on March 10th, we're doing the live show in Hollywood. And that's where we bring everybody together, like the nominees and fans and just other queer people who love Queerty and love the work we do. And we do a show. We throw a party. Trixie Mattel is going to be the host this year, which is, I know,
Big.
it's big, it's huge. It's Trixie. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm so excited. I don't even care what she does. I'm like, just come on out. Like,
Just do your thing.
yes. So she'll be hosting. There's going to be a musical act, which we haven't announced yet, so I can't tell you. It's top secret. Yeah. So that's the big thing coming up. I think later in the year. We're kind of early in the year, so there's a lot cooking that we haven't totally figured completely out yet. So I don't want to say too much about what else is coming, but there is some exciting new things that we're going to be bringing to the site. And I can say this though, that one of the plans for 2026 is to really, I want to like create more community, like more of a community feeling at the site. So we're going to try to like, you're going to hear more from the actual writers, the actual people who do the writing that you read. Like you actually get to meet them on the site and hear from them personally. And I want to make it feel more like like I said, like a community, and amplify them and introduce them to people who might not be familiar necessarily with the people behind the writing. So I'm excited to be doing that in 2026.
Lots and lots of things that we're excited to watch. Okay, before we go into our game, which John will introduce, I have a
Yes.
quick question though. And we've done our deep dive, Graham. So
Okay.
we know that you grew up in the Twin Cities. You did the LA thing at Cal State. And then
Yeah.
you did the San Francisco thing at San Francisco State. And
Yeah.
then you spent 6 years in New Orleans, which is one of my favorite cities, by the way. And then you headed back to Minneapolis in 2021. So
Yeah.
you were in many gay meccas. What city has actually been your favorite?
I feel like you guys know so much about me. It's like you stalked me before I joined the call here. You're so good at your research.
This is what we do.
I guess it's your job. Yeah. And now I already lost the question. What was the question? I just like,
What was your favorite
was I
city to
doing in New
live in?
Orleans?
Right? Like,
Oh gosh, though that's like a hard question because I loved all of them. Like, so LA, it was like the early 20s. That was college. And that was, I mean, the best. It was like to be young and living in LA is like just wild fun. And met some great people. A lot of them, actually, one of them I work with today, Johnny Lopez, who is another editor at Queerty. He and I years ago met in LA through mutual friends, and then kind of didn't talk for like a long time. And then the job opened up and he applied for it. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're back in my life again. It was really, so that's really fun. He's kind of a reminder of those days. San Francisco was actually how I ended up at Queerty because that's where the company is based, is in San Francisco. And I was just out of grad school, just trying to like find any job I could as a writer in media. And I connected with Queerty and Chris Bull, who's still my boss today. He's the editorial director and the co-founder of the company. And so, I think of San Francisco as the city that like this all happened. Like I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't have lived in San Francisco. And then New Orleans is actually, well, and San Francisco is where I met my husband. So yeah, we met in San Francisco. Jacques is his name. And he's actually from New Orleans. So yeah, so it
French.
was, the funny thing is he's not French.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah. He's half Guatemalan and like half Cajun, which I mean, there's some French, I guess, in there. But so he was from New Orleans and we were in San Francisco and he's like, I'd really like to move down there for a bit. So luckily Queerty lives on the internet. So you can kind of do it from anywhere. We've got writers all over the world. So I moved down to New Orleans and I really liked it. That was so fun. I know it's probably one of my favorite cities too. And I could go on and on about New Orleans.
I
but
mean, it's
won't.
so interesting, Graham, because our mothers, when we're Cuban, and our parents
Mm.
migrated from Cuba to the States. Our parents when they were very young,
gosh.
and our mothers moved to New Orleans when they came from
Yeah.
Cuba. So John and
Makes
I
sense.
just like have such a an affinity towards New Orleans. So I'm glad you're also speaking the same kind of thing because our mothers love that city and we've been able to go there many times and we also love it. So it's magical there.
It's a magical place.
It is a magical place. And that's so interesting because Jacques' mom, like I said, she was Guatemalan.
Yeah.
And his Guatemalan family actually also had a few people who ended up in New Orleans. It's just like a hub. It seems to be where people go. But that's also why that city's awesome, is because it does have so much culture and so many different influences happening. And I didn't know you guys were Cuban.
We're first generation. Our moms are sisters, our dads are brothers. So Bryan and I are biologically gay twin cousins.
Yeah, I knew that part.
Yeah. So it's just weird.
Yeah, I love.
Go ahead.
Cuban culture is Johnny Lopez is actually also Cuban American, so we talk about it all the time. But we have this shared love of Gloria Estefan, who is like my ultimate favorite singer in the. She is like my goddess.
She's gold.
And so he and I, bonded over Gloria Estefan.
Did you hear her do that cover with Kelly Clarkson of it's a song that it's about Cuba. It's called Tierra Mia, which is like My Earth. And she was on the Kelly Clarkson show and they sang an acoustic cover of it and it was amazing.
Is it from her most recent Spanish language album?
This maybe it made a reappearance there. I haven't really looked at that all of the tracks there, but this is a very old song of hers, but it always reminds me of my mom. And they did a cover of it with Kelly Clarkson and Kelly Clarkson like learned Spanish for it. It was amazing.
And killed it, I'm sure.
And nailed it. Yeah, of course.
I need to look that up because like Kelly Clarkson and Gloria Estefan together is like the thing I didn't know I needed that I need.
Don't walk, run after we're done here. I'm telling you.
Did you ever see her, Gloria Estefan's Broadway show On Your Feet?
Yes.
Bryan did.
I took my parents actually.
Oh, isn't it? Isn't it so good?
Oh,
They couldn't sit down.
No,
I remember when we were there. She showed up. She wasn't there for the whole show, but she had showed up. But I live in New York. I'm just outside now. When I was in the city proper, I went right when it opened. So it was, the first week. And so, of course, she's all over it. But yeah, it was a vibe. It was fun. People were literally standing up during the show dancing.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, it's Gloria Estefan music. Yeah. It's just like, how can you not? I am obsessed with that show. I saw it in New Orleans, actually. And I'm like, I need to see it again. Like, as many times as I can, I want to see that show because it stuck with me and it's a party and I love her.
She just brings that spirit, authenticity, and similarly to what you were able to bring us today. So we're just so grateful for our conversation. We love all of our deep talks and hearing a little bit behind the scenes of what's going on over there at Queerty. But we also like to get down to the nitty gritty, Graham. So you're not going to escape us just yet.
Okay.
We here at Out Loud and Laughing have a signature game we play with all of our guests. It's the This or That EIC edition, and we're going to give you two options. You pick one and you tell us why. And don't be afraid to get a little queerty with it. See what we did there? All right. It's time for another round of This or That, the unhinged get-to-know-you game. I'm going to kick it off, diving right in with scruff or no scruff.
Oh. Well, you could interpret that question many different ways. But I'm going to go with scruff because... I mean, obviously, I don't like
because woof.
Yeah,
right. A little hair,
and like I like the scruff. I like scruff, but also when I'm thinking about like the apps in my social circle, there's the joke that scruff is like Grindr with a PhD. It's a little bit more elevated.
That's
more sophisticated.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm trying to picture now all the apps at a dinner party, and Scruff is the one that just elevates the conversation, and Grindr's in the corner just like drooling.
In my friend group.
Scruff.
That's a whole thing.
Sure.
That's a
whole thing.
Okay, Graham, are you a chest guy or a butt guy?
Oh. In what context?
It just depends. When I said chest and butt, what did you think? And where'd you gravitate towards, Graham?
Okay, let me think. good question too. I would probably actually say but. Because I like them, but also because and I'm not bragging here, but I have a really big butt, like just genetically, I guess. And so, and so it's something that I'm always thinking about, like with pants, like finding pants that actually fit around my butt is kind of a lifelong struggle.
Love it.
But I've kind of come to embrace it. And so that's why I'll say but. But I do like chest. I actually was doing chest day yesterday at the gym, so my chest is a little sore.
Again, I say to that, woof. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. It's not that impressive, but
all right. All right. Graham, while you're at the gym working on that impressive butt and chest, are you listening to New Orleans jazz, or are you kind of diving into some Minneapolis indie music? Do you have a preference?
well, I mean, I always loved New Orleans jazz. I always have. Even before I lived in New Orleans, I've loved it. So I would probably go with that. But actually, at the very present moment, I am not listening to either of those things. I've been on a Madonna kick. I just
Old or
actually,
new?
I guess it would be old. It's kind of like mid to me, but it's old. It's the Erotica album. Yeah, so because I just did a podcast like the other day it's the Madonna songbook, and we were talking about that song "Thief of Hearts." Are you familiar with it? The one where she's like, "Stop, bitch," the like bitch slapping
Yes.
song, and we did a whole episode about it because it's like streaming on or trending on TikTok right now. Like the TikTok generation has discovered this amazing Madonna song, so I've just been like blasting that like the past 48 hours.
We'll get on that.
I love that. Okay, Graham, we're going to ask you a sport question now.
Oh.
So if you're playing a baseball game, are you pitching or catching?
Play ball.
If I'm playing a baseball game, am I pitching or catching? It probably depends on the day.
Fair.
I love
Or
it.
I'm spectating. I like that
Or
too.
yeah, listen, sometimes you just want to be in the seats.
Yeah.
Listen, give me a bucket of popcorn. I will sit and watch it all day long. Swing, bada, bada, swing. Graham, are you ghostwriting a memoir, or are you editing a breakfast news scandal?
Am I what?
Ghostwriting a memoir or
Yeah.
editing a breaking news scandal?
Oh, well, these days I'm probably editing a breaking news scandal. But in a past life, I did do some ghostwriting, and there was it's so funny. It's like once upon a time, I used to take whatever job I could get as a writer. Like you're just trying to like, give me a job. I just need a job. So I took some really weird ones, including ghostwriting for a very challenging person.
We'll leave it at that.
A celebrity
who shall remain nameless. Yeah.
Yes, I can't say who it was, but that was an experience that I did one time, and that was enough for me.
Okay, the last one. Jon and I always go back and forth because he's a little bit classy and I'm a little bit trashy. So, Graham, do you
Yeah.
prefer a dive bar or a fancy meal?
Well, that's easy. I can just say, no offense, but I prefer a fancy meal.
Yeah, no offense
see?
taken.
But yeah, nothing against dive bars. I think they have their place, but I like to be, I like to feel fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Some would
Filled
say
up.
some would say Brian's a grinder, whereas I'm a scruff. You know what I mean?
Not going to fight that one.
Oh, Graham, this has just been an absolute blast. Thank you for all the work that you're doing over at Queerty, for our community, and for keeping us informed, of course, and entertained every single day. Where can our chosen fam find you, and how can we support all the amazing work at Queerty?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest place to find me is at queerty.com. That's where I am, and that's where all the writers are. You can see our work there. There's links to how you can connect with us. So, and I love hearing from people. So please stop on by the site, visit us, reach out, send us your gossip and your tips and your tea, all that stuff. We love to hear it, and thank you for just supporting Queerty. It means a lot.
Thank you, Graham. And chosen fam, that is our show for the day. Remember to live your life out loud, keep laughing, and we'll catch you at the next one. Love you. Bye.
This was Out Loud and Laughing.
We're available everywhere you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeart, or wherever.